Hey there, thank you so much for stopping by. Today we're going to be talking about, in this free course, we're going to be talking about how to re-motivate your team in 3 simple steps. Now, I'm talking from the point of view of a manager myself. I've been managing teams, in fact, for the past 10 years maybe, and I've had my share of a struggle. I've had my share of, challenges, whether employees got demotivated, whether people, resigned, negative attitude that spread across, poor results, etc., etc. And oftentimes I found it that it's very much connected with motivation, personal motivation. And I wanted to share with you because on my journey as a manager, before I even become a trainer and a coach for businesses, one of the things that I've been doing is that I've been studying the field of management, essentially reading a lot of books and programs, going through a lot of programs as well. So I'm going to share with you hopefully some very, very useful tactics, because I wish someone told me actually what I'm about to tell you when I was suffering from issues with employees' motivation. So the first question I have for you is, who are your customers? Perhaps when I myself was asking for some help, I consulted a coach, and I hired a coach in the UK, and I told her, hey, listen, they arrive late, they're not motivated, they don't stay over after hours to finish the work, the results are poor, there's a bit of a weird vibe, I'm not happy with my team. And she said to me, okay, Hamza, so who are your customers? And I went on to say, actually, so at the time I was working in a recruitment company. I said, actually, my customers are, in government, banking sector. I said, no. These are not the people that actually pay you, pay your bills, are they? I said, yes, they are. And the coach challenged me a little bit, which proved to be a slap in the face. And I never, ever looked back after that. She said to me, look, Hamza, in fact, the people that actually pay your salary are the people that actually find these clients, are the people that actually manage these clients, are the people that actually build a relationship with these clients. And, it led to my team. My customers were my team. So she said to me, look, how did you react when so-and-so was late? And I said, well, I tried different things. I put warnings. I tried to speak to her. I was, I tried to mirror of things, but nothing worked. And she said, okay, what if this person was a customer, was a client of yours? Would you treat him or her the same way? And my answer was no. Actually, no. Absolutely no. With this paradigm shift, she's been able to literally start a transformation within my management style, within my leadership style, and I never looked back. Because the moment I treated them, respected them like customers, my employees were customers, everything changed. You see, it's thanks to my employees that I'm a manager. It's thanks to my employees that I'm at this level of my career. It's thanks to my employees that we do well, we don't. So my employees or my team members were my customers. And I had to start realizing this. After I studied leadership, I found that actually leadership is not about having the best ideas and pushing through. It was actually about serving others. Now, if these are my customers, my role is to serve them. You see, that's really essentially the essence of leadership. And I want you to start thinking that perhaps if they're not motivated, the biggest influencer in their career right now is you as a manager. You're the #1 biggest influencer on their happiness, on their satisfaction at work, etc., etc. So it's up to you. It really is up to you. Because if they are demotivated, that's not good for you. If they're motivated, if they love their job, you can expect a shift in their attitude, the result, etc., etc. So it's it's down to you to make that happen. No one else is. But you see, as managers, and I know I talk from, you know, someone that actually is one, has been one for years, and I struggled, and I swear I know what it, you know, what it means to not sleep at night, to be wide awake because something's going on and you don't know if you should let someone go and lose all your investment or not, etc. I've been there, and I know how it feels. But essentially what I realized was that because I was always putting the fault on them, I was not treating them like customers, but I was treating them like employees. They should know what to do. They have a job description. They have KPIs. I pay them. Why should they not do what is asked of them? That's because they're not satisfied with their work. They're not motivated at work. And this is very, very important. You see, the moment I shifted these questions into, hang on a minute, who are my customers? So if they are my customers, my job is to make them fulfilled in their job. My job is to make this experience the best experience for them so that they keep on working with me. And that's essentially what changed everything. So this is a question for you. What is job satisfaction? Because let me tell you, if they're not happy at their work, there's no way on earth that you achieve the results that you want. There's no way in a million years that you know, you see a shift in attitude, you see good vibes and energy, and you know, you love working in this team. The fact of the matter is, we have to study job satisfaction, because if they're satisfied with you know, with the job that they have, they are going to behave differently. They are going to stay longer. They are going to, you know, say no to other offers, and so on and so forth. But essentially, they're going to be running after results. So job satisfaction is key. The fact that they are happy about their work, and this is what we are going to be talking about, because there are 3 steps to make your employees satisfied with their job. 3 steps. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to work for every single employee. I'm saying that the ones that will choose to stay will follow these 3 steps, because that's the only way for everything to work. And once I realized that, this is actually from a book called The 3 Signs of a Miserable Job by Patrick Lencioni. I'm going to share it with you. I'm also going to be referring to Dan Pink, Drive from Dan Pink. So this is just so you know where I draw these you know, my resources basically for this topic. And by the way, this is just part of a training that I conduct for managers that is based on the 3 circles theory. Okay. So if you want to know more, obviously contact me. But for now, what is job satisfaction? You know, have you ever noticed that if you look at statistics across the world, in the US, in Europe, wherever you are, you will find that most people can't say they are satisfied with their day-to-day work. Most people are either neutral or dissatisfied. And that's your problem right there. Once you understand, identify this problem, you are on the right track. You are on the right track. So Dan Pink, if you ever read a book called Drive from Dan Pink, he basically studied and experimented and asked a lot of questions to a lot of people on what drives them. What is motivation? What makes them wake up in the morning and want to go to work? What makes people want to succeed, want to do the extra mile? What is it? And he found that the first thing was autonomy. Autonomy. The fact that they could feel that, you know, they have a choice on their day, that no one is actually breathing down their neck, that they are in control of what they do. And this is very, very important. In control of what they do and how they do it. Autonomy. That's very, very important. Number 2, so this is if you are sort of a bit more closer in terms of management, micromanaging them because you feel frustrated. And I get it because they just can't get it right, although you explained it to them a million times. There are ways to do this better. So I give an example. I was a little bit like this because I was always constantly frustrated by the fact that I've been explaining the same thing, a million times, but it would never be done correctly. I decided to develop their autonomy. I decided to create documents, checklists, and templates and scripts that they could use the way they want. And you know what? It worked. It worked beautifully for me. So I designed documentation processes, and I documented those processes, and then they felt completely free to use them, to read them, to basically change them, tailor them, etc., etc. Plus, there was a beautiful support for their expertise. Now, this happens to be actually the second reason why people are motivated. Mastery, basically the fact that they're feeling that they are getting better and better at their job. Expertise, okay? And this is really, really interesting because what most people feel are stimulated from is the fact that they're getting better and better. Motivation is progress. And this is something I want you to keep in mind. Motivation is progress. If they do not feel that they are progressing, motivation is hampered. And this is very important. So results should progress, but also expertise should progress. And this means that your role as a manager, if you're truly serving your customers, your clients, i.e. your team members, is to help them, serve them by making sure they progress in their mastery, in their skills, asking them questions, listening to them, training them, mentoring them, coaching them, giving them, for example, the support, the scripts, the templates, the processes documented is only going to get them better, more confident. And that is motivating too. The third and final point is purpose. You see, working towards something that actually means something for them, okay? So, a goal that is meaningful is really beyond the fact that I just have to do my job. Accounting, IT, sales, beyond that is who does it matter to? Who does it matter to? Who is this for? What's the point? Okay? It means that this is what we call the company's mission. Or in other words, the company's mission is, say, to serve a certain group of people with a certain group of benefit, with a certain type of benefit. So, for example, if you're a medical equipment distributor, then you are saving lives, potentially. And that should be a company's mission. But internally, purpose is about who does my job matter to? And in the same way you have customers, that's them, each individual should have a customer, should feel that he's serving someone. And that is key, the purpose. Why am I doing this? I'll give you an example. An executive secretary or an admin support person is going to, her number one job is to free some time to the executive that she's serving in order for that executive to use the time to do executive things, high value things, okay? This is very important. So their job is going to be to filter phone calls, to look after their diary, the administration, paperwork, read some contracts, read some emails for them, and summarize it, make it easy for them, etc., etc. The better this support person is at doing that, and the more effective the executive is going to be. Now, if the executive is not basically praising that his secretary, for example, for doing that, then she might lose her sense of purpose. I hope it makes sense. We feel fulfilled at a job if we serve others. This is actually the third circle, my 3-circle training. The third circle is about serving others. This is what makes everything possible, okay? So in other words, if you want to summarize, motivation 1.0 is survival, basic needs. So people are motivated if they get a salary. Okay, that's the basic. Okay, I need a job, so I need to shut up and do some work. That's motivation, the lowest amount of motivation. Okay, it's not really motivation, but you know what I mean. It's about survival. Okay. Number two, now the problem with motivation 1.0 is if they find something that pays better, not necessarily a better environment, but that pays better, because it's a survival, basic need type of motivation, they will move, they will leave you. And this is usually what happens. Motivation 2.0 is about reward and punishment. So, you know, praise and punishment. Oh, we have a performance review, you're gonna have a raise, or you're going to have, going to be blamed, or you're going to have a warning or whatever. And that's reward and punishment. This is the old style type of motivation. Okay. What we find is that the studies, what they find, and is explained by Dan Pink in Drive, is that motivation 3.0 is really about internal, intrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation means that the sense of purpose is well alive, and that's why people are motivated. That's why they wake up in the morning. We're all in the same team, but they no longer worried about reward and punishment because they're motivated enough to constantly have these rewards anyway. These rewards remind them of their sense of purpose. I also call the story. If a manager doesn't have a story, why do we have to do those phone calls? Why do we have to do these reports? What's the point? If there's no story behind, if we're not actors into something greater than ourselves, then this is the manager's fault. I'm sorry. I realized this the hard way, and I lost way too many people for not realizing this earlier. Okay? Way too many great people. So here's a question. What are they dissatisfied about? The thing I found is that people are dissatisfied anyway. The human brain wants a challenge. So they're always going to be looking for challenges. You find this sometimes in old couples. When they agree way too much, you'll find that they don't necessarily have a common project that they can actually, challenge one another in. You'll find that the people are dissatisfied by nature. The key here is not to make them happy about everything. It's to make them happy about their work, but dissatisfied, challenged by the results, by the work itself. Okay, if that makes sense. So essentially what you want is to shift their dissatisfaction, their creative energy, their challenged mind into something that is purposeful to the company. So if they are dissatisfied about the work, this is going to be occupying most of their mind. If they feel they are not in a good job, that you're not a good manager, that they are bored, that they don't know why they're doing what they do, it doesn't mean anything to them, it's not really impacting or helping anyone else. If that's what they believe, then they're going to keep on talking about this, because the human mind loves challenges. They're going to keep on talking about this until they find somehow a common consensus, that they're going to keep talking to each other about this, and this is how negativity spreads. Now, if they're dissatisfied, for example, with the results of the company, with their results, you'll find them, occupied by this challenge. And this is what you want to do, not make them happy people forever. I made that mistake. It's okay, don't worry, you'll get there. Hey, that's okay. Hey, that's okay. And after a month or two, it was way too okay, and everyone was way too relaxed, and I was stressed out. So essentially, you want to shift that dissatisfaction. I really hope this is helpful. Now, I'm just going to talk about these 3 steps. So these 3 steps, remember, I got them from a book which I recommend. It's called The 3 Signs of a Miserable Job by Patrick Lencioni. Patrick Lencioni is one of my favorite authors, guys. So someone like me, a trainer, a coach that helps corporates, in terms of training, I constantly read. But I love Patrick Lencioni's book. So if you ever come across any of these books, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team is one of the most famous ones. Please don't hesitate. You won't regret it. So now, the first step to tackle, the feeling that we are not satisfied with the job is to tackle what I call, in fact, what Patrick Lencioni calls anonymity. Anonymity, the fact that you're just a number. Yes, they know your name, but you're just a number. At the end of the day, you're just a number. No one really cares. So my question is this: how much do you know your team? How much do you know your team? You see, I asked this to a manager once, and he said, I know my team. So I have 3 people. One, her name is, and she's married. She's been with us for blah, blah, blah years. And before that, she was, so he shifted towards her CV here, but he doesn't actually know her. So I asked him, so how many kids does she have? 2, I think, or 3. How old are they? When is their birthday? What's their name? Do they go to school? Is it private or public school? He didn't know. And yet, you see, things like kids are the most central thing for these people. I live in Dubai, and this is an extremely multicultural place. You see, another aspect of knowing your team is to find out what's going on in their home country. Whether it's the Philippines, India, or whatever, find out what's going on in their home country. You know, if there's been a typhoon, if there's elections, if there's whatever. Because this is really about what your team likes. You know, do they like playing sport? Which one? So this is what I'm talking about. How much do you know your team? When I went to work in London, I just was shocked in the beginning because it was in stark contrast with the management I had back in France when I was in Paris. Because everyone after work would go to the pub. And I was shocked. I was like, why did they do that? Are they trying to be friends or something? I mean, in France, my culture was obviously colleagues are colleagues. That's it. And then after work, everyone goes home and you know, you don't get to see each other anymore. That's it. But in the UK, in London, what I found was that the managers were actually investing time in these pubs and having one-on-one chats to understand and know people. And that was fascinating. Anonymity kills. If they believe that you don't care, that you don't know them, then this is a problem. This is a problem. Okay, that's the first step. The first step is to get involved on one-on-ones with your team, not to ask them about the results or about whatever, but use the coffee machine, use, you know, those chit-chat moments, use those to get to know what their plans are, what their projects are. Are they going on holiday? Do they, you know, do they have a family member that's perhaps sick? You need to care. If you don't care about who they are, they won't care about you, period. That's the number one, anonymity, okay? Please keep this in mind. Number 2, so step number two is job irrelevance. So, you know, when someone is wondering, why am I doing this again? Because it's your job. Well, that's the recipe for disaster, okay? People want to feel that sense of purpose. Remember, people want to feel that sense of purpose. Fulfillment is in the service of others. So in the same way I asked you who are your customers, the number 2 step is going to be for you to ask them who are their customers. Every single job is serving someone, a group of people, or you know, one person or a group of people. Okay, that's for sure. Every single person is serving someone. Job fulfillment, job satisfaction is in the service of others. The moment our job matters to someone, then we feel important. We feel that we're adding value, that we're creating an impact. And this is extremely important because we are not robots. It took me years to find this out, guys. And you know, once you realize this, I used to think, look, it's your job. Why don't you just do your job? I'm paying you. I used to think like this, you know, like everything is there for. But in fact, we are all the same. All the same. If my customers are my team members, then their happiness, the job satisfaction is my problem. Okay, that's very, very important. But On top of this, my job is to help them identify who they serve. Who does their job matter to? Who is it relevant to? Because if there's no sense of purpose, if there's no serving others in their job, if it's just a financial transaction between hours of work and money, then they are going to lose interest. They are going to lose interest, okay? The best leaders are really, really clear on, making sure that there is a sense of purpose, that there is a story, that there is a reason, that they are all part of, even if they have different jobs in the team, in your team, if they have different jobs, they are all part of, crew members on a boat rowing. And everyone needs to know his role. Everything needs to be synchronized. Everything needs to work together. And that's true leadership. Once you really see this and everyone understands his role and why, if he doesn't do it correctly, if he doesn't do it as fast, as good as he can, why is it impacting others? His job is always going to impact others negatively or positively, right? Imagine that employee that's rowing on the wrong side. Imagine that employee that's not rowing or rowing sometimes. Well, once they understand the damage that this is creating, your job is to offer them the choice. Once they understand why their job matters, your job is to offer them the choice, is to tell them, hey, from now on, we're going to measure this. We're going to measure this because that's the only way to find out if you're doing a good job or not. If you're doing a good job at serving others, whether it's people in your team. I'll give you an example. An admin person, a support person, so it could be secretary, office manager, doesn't matter, admin. Their job is to make sure they save time to top executives, to managers, to other people in the organization. Because if they save time on admin paperwork, on archiving, on sometimes filtering phone calls and emails, etc., then it means that others have more space and time to actually do their job at a higher level. Their job matters because that's thanks to that they're going to be able to find solutions to critical things, that to give the attention that each critical thing deserves. Without them, it doesn't work. And it's the job of a manager to help that person measure that. Because it's one thing to say, hey, your job matters, here's why. And by the way, you don't say, here's why. You actually ask them the question. They need to find out, okay? Not you. Your job is just to ask them questions. Who do you think that matters? If you were to leave tomorrow, who do you think will suffer the most? How do you think this job matters to them? And then you move to, okay, now, if it matters, we need to have some way of measuring the efficiency of that. Okay, measuring if, you are progressing. Remember, motivation is progress. Motivation is progress. The moment they see that they are progressing, this is where motivation happens. They have a sense of purpose, plus they are progressing. So measuring is extremely important. Unfortunately, most managers, and ours, the first guilty of that, we use what previous managers told us we should use for ourselves. We use KPIs that are already predefined. We use HR metrics that are predefined. But the truth is, the lack of measurement or the wrong measurement are the same. They just don't give that sense of purpose. You see, measuring, the purpose of measuring is to track and hopefully improve progress, is to shift your mind, the person's mind, into this problem. Remember, the mindset of people loves challenges. So it's either a challenge in his job, or he's going to look for other challenges, i.e. you, the manager, or the company's culture, or whatever. So it's very, very important that you take this as a basis. The challenge needs to come from the measurement, and your job throughout the measurement is not going to say, oh, that's not good. Wow, that's low. No, your job is going to be to say, how can we make this better? I need your ideas. I just don't know. Your job, you know, you're the expert in your job. What would you do? What do you think we should apply? Who has any idea? That's your job, okay? In order for them to get that feedback, to get that support, to get that, you know, the feeling that their job matters. They already know it matters. Now that you measure them, they can now know if you are, you know, if they are, sorry, on par with what is expected of them, okay? Because you identified a customer to them, okay? So now what's important is that they measure themselves. They measure themselves. So your job is not to breathe down their neck. Remember, autonomy, mastery, and purpose. Your job is not to come and check what they do and start taking notes. No, your job is to say, hey, just at the end of the week, let's have a chat, bring down your numbers, your measurements, and it should be 1 or 2 or 3 KPIs, no more. KPI stands for key performance indicators, by the way, okay? And this should be directly related to the person that they are serving, to the group of people they are serving, whether they are clients, whether they are vendors, suppliers, whether they are internal stakeholders, etc., okay? So what do your employees measure? If they don't measure their performance, because their performance, they don't think it matters to anyone, you have a big problem, because what they're going to be measuring on is the time that passes. 1 hour and we go home. What they're going to be measuring is, oh, how much are you earning? I'm earning that. Oh my God, I'm earning 10% less and I've been here longer. They're going to be measuring something. You want them to measure something that's good for them. That's good for them and the rest of the company. That's good for everyone else. Your job as a leader is to serve them. Okay, so I hope it makes sense. Lack of measurement or the wrong measurement creates an amazing amount of problem as well. Amazing amount of problem. Okay, so that's essentially these 3 steps. First, anonymity. Anonymity. Basically, our manager doesn't really know us and he doesn't really care about us. I mean, he knows our name and how long we've been here and if we have kids or what, but he doesn't really care that today is a special day. It's the birthday of my little one. He doesn't really care about this and that. And you know, I'm the first guilty about that, because we get so, you know, swallowed by the day-to-day grind that sometimes we forget to simply add a birthday date on a calendar. And it makes an entire difference. An entire difference. A wedding anniversary, the name of kids or whatever, you know? And that's what I'm talking about, okay? So that's anonymity. Step 2 is really about that job relevance. You know, who does it matter to? The moment they understand that this is serving them, and if you're not, then you're depriving them from something they need. The moment you do that, they have a sense of purpose. And number 3, measurement, because that's the only way to progress and to track results and to try and change things, adapt, increase in terms of mastery, in terms of expertise. Remember, autonomy, mastery, and purpose, okay? The facts are irrelevant. What matters is what the consumer believes. Your customers are your team members, and what's important is what they believe, not the facts. Because I used to think exactly like you, maybe like you, because I used to think that I'm paying them. They're finishing early. I'm giving them this and I'm giving them that. And I'm just asking for them to do their job. No. That is the source of every problem. That's the root of every evil. That feeling that they owe you. In fact, they don't owe you. Without them, you wouldn't be where you are. Period. Without them, you'd be by yourself. Period. You owe them. Your job is to serve them. Once you realize this, then help them realize who they serve. And by the way, they don't serve you necessarily, okay? They can serve others than you, okay? And you can have more than one customers as well, okay? That's essentially one of the things that you can do in order to help them, understand who they serve, is to have a group meeting and to have everyone participate on who they think someone else has served. If this person was no longer here, who would it impact? Okay, that's very important. And then measurements, of course. Facts are irrelevant. What matters is what the consumer believes. That's how you're going to get your team remotivated little by little. And I swear to you, if you stick to that, if you start doing this on a daily basis, if you start working towards this, suddenly your entire team is going to have a sense of purpose. You are going to have a sense of purpose, and everything's going to change. Everything's going to change. So that's it. My name is Hamza. I'm a trainer, a coach, and if you want to know more about me, don't hesitate to go to www.namecareer.com and give me a call. And that's it for me today. And I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for your help. And speak soon. Please don't hesitate to leave a thumb up or short comment. That would mean the world to me. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.